Hi, I'm Carrie and welcome to episode 9. I am a knitter and knitwear designer based out of Columbus, Ohio, and this is where I get to chat about all of my knitting and design projects. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me today to chat all about knitting. So we are already in December. It feels like the holidays are already upon us. Thanksgiving was last week. We celebrated my daughter's birthday at the beginning of the week, and we have our Christmas tree up. So it's definitely like holiday season, and I am also in that frame of mind where I think I can get all of the things done, including like last minute holiday crafting projects and that sort of thing. So it's kind of exciting when you have the feeling like, oh, I could work on anything and I have a million ideas and all of that. But then there's the reality of how much time we actually have. That being said, I have one finished object to share today, one work in progress update, 3 new cast-ons, and one project that has been languishing for a number of years at this point, and is going to be coming back onto the needles here shortly. I'll start off as always with what I'm wearing. This is my Andiron Cardigan. I knit this, I don't know how many years ago at this point. It has a lovely cable detail along the front, so there's a chunkier cable at the front edge, smaller cable to the side, and then all over texture on the body. I love wearing this cardigan as it gets a little bit colder. It's an Aran weight. So DK weight cardigans are usually like my go-to for any time of year because in the summer it's cold enough with the air conditioning inside to need that kind of weight of cardigan. And then in the colder months, you know, you actually need it for warmth when you're outside or as a layering item. But once it gets cold, I can also start to layer in some of those heavier weight cardigans that I have, and this is one of them. I think it's like kind of festive being in this burgundy color. Love wearing it, and so here I am wearing it today. If you're interested in seeing more about this project, including the yarn I used, the size I made, all of that sort of stuff, it'll be in the description along with the pattern link, so you can check it out there. First things first, I finally have a finished object. So these are my Wheatley socks. They are an easy all-over texture pattern. I knit these in Knit Pick Stroll, and I have not actually had a chance to wear them yet. I just finished them up a couple of days ago, but I did put them through the wash because I always like to, you know, essentially block things, though in this case it's just throwing in the washer and dryer so I can kind of know like what the fit is going to be like and all of that. So I've actually not tried these on yet, but I did want to share a brief comment about the yarn because if you've been following along, you'll know I was having some yarn splitting issues while I was working with it, and then it kind of like resolved over time. I'm not sure whether it was I wound the second ball of yarn that I used or I just got used to it. But part of me was like, I would use this yarn again if it holds up in the wash. One thing I did want to note, I'm not sure how well you can tell, but you can already start to see a little bit of pilling on the sock, which I mean, like, socks are meant to be worn. I absolutely continue to wear socks that are, you know, a little bit pilled, etc. But this is just after one wash. As I said, I haven't even worn these yet. So I am seeing a little bit of pilling. That being said, it may still like hold up relatively well with continued wash and wear and may just have, you know, some slight pilling, which like if I'm throwing things in the washer and the dryer with other clothes, there can be abrasion and that sort of thing. It is somewhat to be expected. I usually just expect I don't know, a few washes and wears before I start to see any pilling. So I did want to note that, but I am very excited to wear these. So I think these are going to be like great, just, you know, classic, go with everything kind of sock. And yeah, maybe I can give an update on how these wash and wear at the end of the winter slash, I guess, really into spring, end of hand knit sock wearing season, just to see how these hold up. I probably would end up wearing these approximately once a week, maybe slightly less than once a week, because I kind of like end up having my go-to favorite socks for a specific season, wear those ones a ton. You know, they kind of end up a little bit beat up, some of them a little bit felting a little bit. They may shrink, or I may end up with, you know, if I'm wearing them a ton, I may end up with a hole after a few seasons. Anyway, so the core socks that I am wearing in any given season kind of slowly change as I bring new pairs in. That being said, being a new pair, it's probably going to get a lot of wear this season. So I can kind of keep track of like approximately how often I'm wearing them and how that yarn continues to perform, because that would kind of be a determining factor in whether I would continue to use this for socks. And by this, I mean stroll, because it's, you know, it's intended to be a sock yarn, but also I'm not necessarily treating the yarn as it should be treated. Throw things in the wash and then throw things in the dryer, and that is obviously not the nicest way to treat your hand knits. But there's only so much time for laundry and hand washing and all of that, and I like to reserve that energy for my sweaters. So that is the only finished object that I have. I do have one work in progress update before getting into new cast-ons, and that is for my Rockmill cardigan. So last time I had started a sleeve, and now I have a finished sleeve, and you can see all of my markers here from where I was doing shaping for this. I actually ended up needing to rip back to the last bit of the cuff, so I had knit the entire sleeve, and then I needed to rip back because I decided that the cuff fit was more like a sweater cuff versus a cardigan cuff, as in like it just felt too slim around the sleeve for something that you intend to wear as a layering piece. I think I decided to take out either 2 or 3 sets of sleeve decreases that I had initially written in. If it was 3 that I removed, that would add in approximately an inch, a little bit more than an inch of the circumference at the cuff, just giving it a bit of an easier fit. And then once I finished up this sleeve, I went back to the body just because I had a partial ball of yarn left and started working more of the body. So I've gotten a couple of inches on the body as well since the last time, and I have made my way all the way through all of the neckline increases. So at this point in the body, I'm just knitting flat, knitting straight, all the way down until the hem. Though now that I'm here, I'm probably going to pause again once I reach the end of this ball of yarn to knit the other sleeve, and then kind of like evaluate where I'm at in my yarn usage so that I can, you know, see how long I can go to make it a length that I want, but also ensure that I have enough left to be able to do the button band for this. I did buy extra yarn for it, so I should be in much better shape than after my initial yarn purchase. But that being said, being a slightly more oversized sweater than what I typically knit, I do want to make sure that I'm in a good place for yarn usage to be able to knit a button band, since that happens after. So yeah, gonna finish the yarn ball that I'm currently on for the body, knit the other sleeve, then come back to the body so that I can make sure that I'm not going to end up in a yarn chicken scenario, which would be terribly disappointing especially after already buying more yarn for this. So I will try this on so you can kind of see how the fit is progressing here, and you can see the sleeve fit. And yeah, I'll just trade out my cardigans here. Okay, so here we are. I will stand up so you can kind of see the sleeve. You can see that really beautiful texture. And here's kind of what I was talking about for that sleeve fit. So before it was, you know, as I said, about an inch slimmer. So it was just a slim cuff, and now it just has a little bit more room, making it really easy to layer over something else, or like I have my little watch on here, so it fits comfortably over that. And in terms of the neckline depth, I just did the last increase. So it is a lower V point. I may include instructions in the pattern to do like a slightly higher V than what's shown here, because this is, you know, a somewhat lower V. I mean, you're always going to be wearing something under it. It's a cardigan. But I know that some people have different preferences in terms of V-neck depth, so this is definitely something lower. I may just include instructions for something that's like 2 inches higher that kind of ends around the same point as like where my V-neck dress under here hits just for a slightly more coverage option if that's more your thing. You obviously will get some more coverage by having the button band, and where the button bands overlap, that like overlap point will be a little bit higher, but it is definitely a lower V, so it's not that difficult to write in some additional shaping instructions, or at least like modification guidance on how to raise or lower the neckline should that be something you desire. So other thoughts on this so far, I really love the yarns that I'm using. I'm using Rosa, Pomar, Vovo, and Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair, holding them together for like a beautiful kind of, I don't know, watercolory, not exactly marl, but I guess it's kind of a marl. It's just like a halo of darker green over a mid-tone green. It creates a really beautiful effect, and I am so excited to see what this looks like blocked. I know that from my swatch it didn't change a ton, but I do think we'll see some change, maybe a little bit more ease will come in to this. And it's just like so soft and so cozy. It's one of those things that you just want to kind of like pet. I mean, I guess you get this as a knitter as well. But yeah, it's really cozy. I really like it. I'm excited to keep going on this project. I'm excited to knit the other sleeve. The body is definitely like, there's some long rows. There's a lot of knit purl stuff going on. And, you know, it just takes a little bit of time to go through a whole row. So progress is definitely slower on this than like the last sweater that I was knitting that was all stockinette and in panels, so you're only dealing with like one piece at a time versus like the entire cardigan body at a time. I'm excited to continue working on this one. It is my current primary garment project, though I will say I haven't necessarily been in like garment knitting mindset lately. I've been kind of craving more smaller things, and we'll kind of get into that with all of my new cast-ons. So onto those new cast-ons, I have two half-done projects. So these are both mitts. These are Rockmill mitts. This is a worsted weight version, and this is a fingering weight version. And yes, it's using the same stitch pattern that my Rockmill cardigan that I just showed you is using. And by same stitch pattern, I mean the pattern is going to include 6 textured stitch pattern options. This one is also going to include both fingering and worsted weight in the pattern. So every year for the past, honestly, I don't know how many years at this point, I've made some sort of like quick holiday accessory pattern. So this is the pattern this year. Quick and easy mitts with a beautiful but easy knit purl texture with pretty universal appeal. I feel like really almost anyone would be interested in a textured stripe, especially like a worsted weight textured stripe is pretty universally appealing. So I guess I can share the yarns that I'm using for each of these, and then kind of share some of the stuff that happened along the way as I was working through the design for these. So this worsted weight version is knit up in Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino. This is the slate green color, and that's the worsted weight version. The fingering weight I am working up in Knitting for Olive Merino in the rust color, and then I'm holding that with Untold Pure Silk Mohair. I think this is also a rust color. Yeah, I'm not finding a color name, so I think it is also rust, but they go very nicely together. They're a very nice match. Obviously, I could have gotten the Knitting for Olive Mohair match. However, it was out of stock in the matching color, so I was able to find something that looked like it would be a really close match in a different brand of mohair. So using those together, I've used the Knitting for Olive Mohair before. I'm using it in my previous project, the Rockmill Cardigan, and now I'm using this different mohair. I think they're both very nice mohair options. I mean, this one I'm just using in a mitt versus on a sweater, and neither of them are fully completed projects, so I don't really have anything to share yet on, you know, any kind of itchy or scratchy factor, but in terms of just how it feels to knit with, it's really nice to knit with. It's super soft. Really like them both. So getting into the design process a little bit more for these. So you would think that, you know, a fingerless mitt isn't necessarily the hardest design project because it's a small project. You know, there's not a ton of real estate here. The overall construction is like relatively consistent. If you've done one before and you're knitting something in a similar construction, this one is, you know, the mitt with a gusset kind of coming out to the side. That being said, every project kind of presents its own unique challenges. So I ended up needing to restart, I think 3 or 4 times before I finally nailed down exactly how I wanted to create this project. I'll put this on and you can kind of see it a little bit better here. So here's the mitt. It has the texture all over on the hand. And then on the thumb, you kind of have these trails of knit stitches framing up a garter stitch thumb. So when I first started this, I was initially thinking that I would just have the stripe pattern going like throughout the thumb. And then I just felt that having the thumb in the same pattern just didn't kind of quite have the design look that I wanted. So then I swapped to making this a garter thumb. And then I had the stripe part just proceeding into the garter, but then there wasn't enough delineation between the garter thumb and the rest of the stripe. So I started over again and added back in this knit stitch that travels up along the thumb here. And I feel like that provides just the right amount of delineation between the pop of the garter thumb with the textured stripe here. And then the first start over that I did was due to needle size, and it was just for the worsted weight version. So I had initially started on a smaller needle size and ultimately decided that I needed to go up a needle size to have a more comfortable knitting experience and to get the fabric that I wanted. So there was a little bit of troubleshooting there, a little bit of troubleshooting with like exact design details and that sort of thing. But now I have a result that I absolutely love, and I'm excited to share the pattern with you soon. It'll be releasing on December 16th. So if you are looking for a little last minute gift project, whether for, you know, an actual gift or you just need some winter accessories to keep your hands warm and need something fast, this will be a great option. As I said, coming out December 16th, you can sign up for my newsletter list in the description box. That will give you a discount on release day. So all of those details are down there. And so feel free to read more down there if you're so inclined. So as I said, both of those are half done, though I've also gotten about half of my worsted weight mitt done as well. So this should be done relatively soon. I'm about most of the way through the gusset increases. I may have 1 or 2 more gusset increases to do, then do the top of the hand, and the thumb will be really quick. And then I still need to knit my second mitt for the fingering weight version. My next cast on is a sweater, but it is a baby size sweater. So this will be relatively quick as I work on it, though I have not been working on it a ton since I've been working on my accessories. I've been working on my other sweater, but I have definitely gotten a few inches into this. The primary reason I've been working on this is because my daughter, who just turned 2, every time she sees me knitting, she says baby fadu, which means baby sweater. And she's basically asking, am I knitting a sweater for her? And so I had to cast on a sweater for her, clearly. So the pattern that I'm making here is Little Bryce Cardigan. I designed this pattern when I was pregnant with her in 2022 and knit like a baby size, like baby sized version. And so now I'm just knitting a bigger version. And I also have like an adult sized version of this one as well, in a gray color. So we will basically be little matchy friends once I actually complete this sweater. I am knitting the size 4, though I did not gauge swatch for this, and I know that this sport weight yarn is definitely a less fluffy sport weight compared to the original yarn that I designed it in. So there's definitely a possibility that I will end up with something in between a size 2 and a size 4. And that's okay because she is currently 2 years old, and the size 2 is kind of like intended to fit up to, or I guess it's a 24 months, either 24 months or size 2. I don't remember how I phrased it, but like fit up to the age that she currently is. And then the 4 would end up fitting to a 4-year-old. So if I end up with something in between, she'd be able to wear it now. She'd probably be able to wear it next year with the sleeve cuffs rolled down, and just may not be able to wear it the following season versus being able to wear it, you know, kind of big this season, wear it a little big next season, and wear it perfectly fitting the season after that. So it's always a crapshoot anyway with knitting children's clothing and knowing what size they're going to be at what time of year, because, you know, kids all just grow so individually, and yeah, you never really know what's going to happen. But it's really cute so far. I am, you know, just kind of chugging along, knitting cables. I have to check the pattern to see how far I need to go, how like much additional length before I start doing any shaping or splitting for the upper body, where you know, you kind of work all of the lower body in one piece at first, and then you like work the fronts and the back separately, then join the shoulders, then pick up and knit the sleeves in the round from the like armhole down. So yeah, I don't know when I'm supposed to start actually thinking again about what is happening next. So I should probably check the pattern so that I'm not, you know, just kind of going blindly and then knit a bunch more than I don't actually need to and overshoot things. So that's where I'm at for this one. I have one last project to share with you today, and this is for my Stash Dive and Revive segment, where I kind of revive older projects or stash that I want to actually work with again. So this is a project that I cast on a little over 2 years ago. So I cast it on, I think, either right before or right after going into labor with my child. So basically the intent for this was to have some just like easy stockinette in the round knitting when I had a newborn at home. So that first year, and by first year I mean first winter that I was working on this project, I got through a good chunk of the body. So maybe like somewhere partially through the like body waist shaping, though I know I did not make it all the way up to like the underarm divide and that sort of thing. So that's how far I got in the first year, and then I kind of put it away once it started to warm up. And then last year I picked the project back up and knit the upper bodies, and got all the way through partially knitting the neckline trim. And now all I have left to do is knit the rest of the neckline trim and knit the sleeves. So I guess I haven't even shared what pattern this is. So this is Quotidian Tee. It is one of my designs, and this design has like a ton of different options. So this one is the mid-hip length fitted waist, and I'm going to knit a long sleeve option. So I've already knit this pattern like 2 other times. I knit the original pattern sample, and then I knit another one over the summer as like a t-shirt option. So I'd already started this one, as I said, 2 years ago, to be a long sleeve, just basic long sleeve tee kind of thing. So obviously I have not completed it, but I really do want to complete this and be able to wear it, because it feels lovely. It is just like a nice basic black, well, I guess dark gray V-neck sweater, which I will absolutely get a ton of wear out of. See my current V-neck shirt in black, basically, situation that I currently have going on right now. I know I'm going to get a ton of wear out of this, and I'm putting this in this podcast here for accountability purposes, so that I actually, you know, pick this project back up and maybe I'm like, I don't know, partially through one of the sleeves by the next podcast. That is at least the goal. I can share a little bit about the yarn that I'm using for this. So I am again holding 2 yarns together. I'm using a gray lace weight wool here from, I don't know, I bought this in 2011 when I was interning in Boulder, Colorado for a summer in college. So This has been in my stash for an exceedingly long time. So I guess this is like a double stash dive and revive because this is one of my probably oldest yarns in my stash. And this is a very long-standing whip since I actually cast it on. And then I am holding it with some Knit Picks Aloft Mohair in their black color. I don't know if it's actually called black or if it's like coal or something else, but it's the one that's black. And together you can see that these are very different colors here. This is like a light to mid-tone gray and this is black, like high contrast, but together it just creates like a beautiful, you know, kind of a beautiful in-between that leans slightly more towards the black because you have the fluff of the black mohair kind of painting over the whole of the sweater, making a really, really beautiful effect. I'm very excited to eventually wear this. But first I actually have to get it back on the needles and knit it. So that's where we're at here. Thank you for joining me today as I rambled on all about all of my new projects. I'm very excited about all of them. I want to cast on even more things. So I think next time I'm going to be doing a like knitting plans video for the winter season, along with some like last minute holiday crafting plans that I want to do, just so I can kind of like get all of my ideas straight and identify what is actually going to go on the needles next and things that I need to make and the things that I want to make. And I mean, everything is something that I want to make, and I technically don't necessarily need to make anything. You know what I mean? More urgent things or things that I want to get done first versus things that I'm like, if I got this done, it would be nice to get it done. So I definitely want to do that. And in that video, I do also kind of want to go over like how I did on my fall knitting plan. So kind of looking back on all of the projects that I wanted to make and the kind of progress that I actually made on those projects. So I think that'll be kind of interesting to share, like, here's an update on my seasonal knitting plans at the start of the next seasonal knitting plans. So that's the plan there. Thank you for sticking around this far if you've made it this far. If you'd like to see that seasonal knitting plans video, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that. And as always, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Carrie Knits, and I will see you next time.